Hey everybody, JP football fanatic fans, boys and girls, anybody that is a football fanatic like I am, welcome to another episode tonight of JP Football Fanatics, where we're going to be talking about the conference championship that occurred as of yesterday. So I hope everybody was able to enjoy the weekend. I hope everybody enjoyed their time off to spend time with families, and I hope everybody was able to enjoy some of the time that was spent as far as football goes. I hope all of you were able to watch some games like I was able to this weekend, so that was cool. I enjoyed watching the games that I was able to get to this weekend. There was only two on, so um, and I also hope that you guys were able to tune in to the previous video that I posted sometime late last night, which was my coaching changes video that I did. I did a podcast with my buddy Scott on Saturday night. I filmed it, and then I was able to release it late last night. So I hope you guys were able to tune into that, and if you weren't able to, you guys can go ahead and check that out. So just talked about some of the coaching changes that occurred so far during the off season. We're gonna probably try to catch up with more of those. We're planning on in the near future. We're trying to plan on more of those kind of podcasts, shared podcasts with other guest speakers. So one of them is probably going to be starting on usually every Saturday night. Every Saturday night we might be trying it. We'll see. Like every Saturday night, once a week, and we're going to see how it goes. And if it's something that works out for the best for us, we'll do it. Continue to do it moving forward during the off season, whatnot. But I enjoy doing these though, guys. And if you have any other advice, or if you have anything that you would like me to cover while or we're on the subject, please do me a favor. Go ahead, hit the like button, and you see that little comment button down below. You are more than welcome to comment down below if you wish. And when you do comment, I see it. So you want me to see your comments. You want me to be able to understand what you're doing and what you want me to see as far as that goes. That's okay. Just make sure you leave a comment. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, and let me know what you want me to cover moving forward on the channel. I've been very good about it all year during the season. I know the off season is coming up, and we got a lot of things to cover now. We definitely have the draft that's coming up within the next couple of months. We also have a lot of different changes that are going on, like coaching changes, players going into free agency, some players probably retiring, some players who are going in, getting traded away to other teams. We got a lot of things going on in the offseason, so there's going to be a lot of things going on. And if you want me to try to cover, as much as I can of it, or anything that you think is most important, please bring it up. Leave the comment down below and like the video. Also, if you can, this will also help me out as well. If you can hit that subscribe button, see that little subscribe button right there when you're watching this video, hit that. And also hit the notification bell, because it will ask you that as well. If you hit the notification bell and you subscribe, you'll be able to be informed of every time that I go live or post new content. So that way you guys will never miss out, and you'll be able to watch whatever that you may not be able to get to at that time. So like, comment, subscribe, all will be good if you're able to do all those things. So so far we have 2 people on tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Always means a lot when you do tune in. We do have some things to talk about tonight, so we're going to jump right into it. So let's get started. So here's the Google Slides that I made for the week. Let's get into it. So how did I do this week? My overall picks. So for the conference championship, I went 0-2. Not going to lie, I went 0-2. Scott went 0-2 with his picks as well. He picked the same exact teams as I did. He picked the Niners and the Bengals, and so did I. And we both ended up losing those 2 particular games. So now that brings my playoff record to an even 6-6 record. So we'll see how I do in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl will be tough for me to pick. I'm not sure who I'm going to choose for that one, but we will talk about that Super Bowl matchup at the end of this video. But this is what we're looking like so far for the playoffs, and yeah, we're getting down to the wire, guys. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about it. So the first game I want to talk about is this game right here. The game that anybody that's a Philly fan was wanting to try to get people to really pick the Eagles, and everybody that was thinking the Eagles had a shot, and the 49ers fans who have had a great tradition of football back in the 90s and are continuing good times now with the new regime of Kyle Shanahan being in, talking some smack about the Eagles, and they were going to go into Philly and beat them hard. So I watched this game this weekend. This was one of the first. This was the first game that was on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. I was able to watch it. I watched it at my girlfriend's house. Um, well, not her house. It was her sister's house because her sister's husband, is a very big 49ers fan, and she's an Eagles fan. So a little bit of a little interesting little rivalry that was going on there. So I'll talk about that some other time. But yeah, we did have a little bit of a rivalry going on, which was kind of nice. It always makes anytime you have some kind of rivalry going on and that sort of thing, it's always a lot of fun. Makes the sport a lot more fun, and it just makes everything a lot more fun and entertaining as it goes. So we'll talk about the game. So this game came on at 3 o'clock, and the first game was going the first quarter. I'm sorry. The first quarter of this particular game went pretty much the way that I thought the game was going to go from the rest of, well, I thought the score that it was like a 7-0 lead for the Eagles. I kind of thought that was going to be the case. I thought it was going to be a close game, but things happened in this first half. And if you were watching or following through, Brock Purdy ended up getting hurt in this particular game. They said today that he had like something with his elbow. I'll look that up for you real quick as far as what he got, because they did make that announcement and the official diagnosis of that. But it was definitely a rough one, a rough injury, because that also limited all the rest of the quarterbacks that the 49ers had left. Obviously, if you remember in the beginning of the year, Trey Lance was the starting quarterback for the team, and he ended up getting hurt in week 2, and that wasn't very good for him. So that ended up being the rest of the season for him. Then Jimmy Garoppolo came into the game, and he was playing well this season. And we'll talk about Jimmy G another time too, because this might be Jimmy G's last hurrah in San Francisco. He might be getting traded. We'll see, but maybe not. Maybe not so soon as people think, especially with the way it sounds like for Brock Purdy's injury. But we'll talk about that in a second. But Jimmy G got hurt with his foot, and he ended up missing the rest of the season. And then the third string came in, Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy played pretty well for the amount of starts that he was able to get. I think he got like 8 starts, I believe. That's not even including the playoff games. So they did diagnose it. They said he suffered a torn UCL in throwing elbow in the loss to the Eagles. So that was something interesting, and there was something in here as well. If Purdy, okay, so I'll read the article to you really quickly, but with what it does state. So, a block quote that says in here, about Purdy's injury. It says, if Purdy can have the UCL repaired and avoid reconstruction, the standard timeline for a return is about 6 months. So we're looking right now, this is January, so we're looking at possibly August. So we're getting towards the end of like the camps, mini camps and everything, training camps. So that's what they're looking for. So maybe they'll be giving him a chance to return sometime in the near start of the 2023 training camp. So that's what they're saying. For that particular game. So he might be able to start, as soon as week 1 in a game. But as far as preseason goes, we'll see if he can get there in time. I think it sounds like he could possibly start during preseason a little bit, get some reps in. So I just thought that was kind of interesting, and I was able to find that on the NFL app on my phone. So that's where I was reading that off of, in case you wanted to know. So that was the block quote. So what happened in this game? Brock Purdy got hurt. He was taken out of the game. Then a fourth string came in, and I didn't even realize, because after like the second string of quarterbacks, third string quarterbacks, you don't really know who's going to be in and who they have and all that stuff. So it ended up being Josh Johnson, who's been around the league for quite a while. He's been pretty much everywhere. The last team I thought he was with, that he was with actually, was the Redskins, or I want to say he was with the Ravens too. I don't remember, but I know he's been around the league for a while as like a journeyman backup. So he came into the game and he didn't really play anywhere special. Um, as obviously like people who like me who were picking the Niners to win the game. He did not play as well or anywhere near as well as we really needed him to play. So that also hurt too. But that defense for the Eagles, man, the defensive line, the secondary, um, everybody came together from that Eagles defense and they played lights out football. They played awesome. It might have probably would have been a different game if Purdy did not get hurt. I don't know. We can't really tell now what the difference would have been. But Josh Johnson ended up getting hurt in the game as well. He got hurt more towards in the second half, I would say. So that kind of very, very limited Brock Purdy. He kind of came in for some plays here and there. But that also kind of led to the plays being led to like Christian McCaffrey the rest of the game because they just couldn't do anything without some sort of like throwing plays or anything, but they really didn't they didn't really pass the ball much the rest of the game because they were already out Purdy, and Purdy had to come back in for a good chunk of the second half after a Johnson injury, and Johnson wasn't really doing anything different than what Purdy was doing in this particular game either. And now we're pretty much going down to like Christian McCaffrey, who had to play some parts of quarterback a little bit, take some snaps and get some handoffs and everything like that. So the rest of the game, it just did not work to Kyle Shanahan's ability to be able to beat the Eagles with all the talent that he does have. And what they really do need is basically the quarterback position. And I think they can get that solved with Purdy for next season. But yeah, it was a interesting game. I would have liked to have seen what would have happened if this game was in San Francisco. I think the game would have been a lot tougher, a lot closer if it was in San Francisco, just because of the home field advantage. So the Eagles fans, they were rowdy, they were rough, they were into the game, and they were ready to go. And the Eagles looked so prepared when they went into this game. They made it look like it was like just a practice game for them, and it basically was a practice game for them, and that was kind of the rough part to see if you were a Niners fan. Anyway, yeah, the game went well. The Eagles ended up winning this game. They ended up beating the 49ers. They beat them by a big score. It was 31-7 was the final score. They had some huge touchdowns and everything, but there were also some big breaks in between too. But also, what really didn't help too, which I really thought was very, very sad and very pathetic after the season that they've had this year, the Niners had almost every single penalty that was ever given to them. I don't know how many at the top of my head that they had, but they have to have had at least 20 almost. And it was mostly defensive penalties that they were having. The defensive penalties that they were getting, like the pass interferences that they were getting left and right, and the face mask calls that really killed them. Like there was a lot of bad calls in this particular game that just did not work out in San Francisco's favor. And it was very sad to see, very pathetic, honestly, in my opinion, just based off of what they've been able to do this year. But that defense let this team down and did not keep them in the game at all. Just even before Brock Purdy's injury, did not keep them in the game anyway. And that's what led them in that situation. The offensive line, with Trent Williams, when Trent Williams plays in this offensive line, it looks better. But they're a little suspect. They're a little bit older now. So, going into the offseason, I kind of would start drafting some depth in that offensive line. I probably would start looking into that. Maybe some other key holes in there. There's not really a whole lot of holes in the Niners that you really need to fix because I think they have everything else. They have the they may have the quarterback position down, maybe. We'll see if they give Jimmy G another year. And as far as the receivers go, Brandon Ayuk had a pretty nice year, a bounce back year from last year. Debo Samuel, kind of up and down a little bit this year for him, but he was sustainable. He was able to make some plays when he really needed to in the run game and be able to be available when he needed to. Christian McCaffrey had an unbelievable year. McCaffrey is definitely going to be an impact on this team for next year. Let's see, that defense is still very good. They're still very good there. They might be drafting some corners there because I think the corners sometimes were a little suspect as far as the pass goes, because I think Jalen Hurts did have a lot of success with throwing the ball, and that's what most people predicted, like myself, that the Eagles would throw the ball a little bit and they would have some success. And the only way that the Niners were going to be able to have some success in this game was if they handed the ball off to Christian McCaffrey, in which they ended up doing that a lot, but just did not work out in their favor by any means because of that, I would say, pretty close to elite defense that the Eagles have right now on paper and the way they played on Sunday. As far as everything else goes, for the 49ers, this year was definitely not a bust. It definitely wasn't a Super Bowl contending year. I kind of thought they were just going to make it into the playoffs and just be, kind of going to the wild card or division round, and just that would be the furthest that they would go. I didn't think they were going to make it as far as this, but they did. They had a nice season. It was kind of tough to see them kind of lose this one. Would have been nice to see if they would have been able to keep themselves in the game and not give up the insane and unnecessary penalty flags that they got in this game. But they did, and that's nothing you can really do about that now. But the Eagles just came to play. They've been playing well for weeks, especially in this postseason. The defense has been playing lights out. Have had a lot of mixed matches with other teams that they've played within the last several weeks. With playing the Giants for 2 weeks, especially that last game that they had a week 18, which was pretty tough too for the Giants to be able to score on them. And then from last week when they played the Giants, it was a tough game as well for them too. And that was kind of cool to see. The Eagles defense play as electrifying as they did in that game. And then they were able to pick it up here. And I think a lot of the reasons is because of the home field advantage. They had home field advantage for the first time since the 2017 season, when they ended up going to the Super Bowl and winning it. And they beat the living crap out of the Minnesota Vikings in that game. And they were successful in that game. So this was a big game for the Eagles. It could have gone either way. If a lot of things were to have gone the 49ers' way, it probably could have been a lot closer if the penalties didn't happen. But the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl now. We'll see how they match up with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It'll be an interesting one. It'll be a high-scoring affair, I believe. But yeah, congratulations to the Eagles. They made it back. They're back in the Super Bowl for the first time in 5 years. We'll see how they do in the matchup, and we'll talk more about the Super Bowl matchup when we get to it. But definitely refs were the biggest difference maker in this particular game. Probably would have been a lot closer. Then we'll talk about this one, the Bengals and Chiefs game. I'll talk about this one a little bit, and then we'll just talk about the matchup and what I think we'll probably see moving forward. So anyway, until next year, Cincinnati. It was a nice season. Had a nice run there. Didn't lose a game in November. Didn't lose a game in December. Now you lost a game in the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs finally got their win over Joe Burrow and the Bengals. So congratulations to Patrick Mahomes for being able to get that. So, and I will say that was with extreme fortune. You were very extremely fortunate for that to happen. Just saying that. In this particular game, there was quite a few bad calls in this one too. One in particular was the pass interference that should have been called pass interference, and the other one came right at the end of the game. I don't know how you all feel about that one, at the end of the game, but that one kind of made me mad the most, in my honest opinion. But I'll talk about that when we get to that point. But right now, let's just talk about the summary of the game. So Joe Burrow came into this game and, looking like the Joe Burrow that we kind of saw earlier in the year. You know, a little bit sluggish, having the offense getting to a very slow start. The Chiefs' pass rush was pretty good in this game. I would say they took advantage of the holes that the offensive line has, and Chris Jones was able to get some big plays in here to get the pass rush going. L'Jarius Sneed ended up getting hurt in this particular game. I don't remember if he ended up coming back in this game or not, but he got hurt in the middle of the game, and he was questionable to return. I'm not sure if he was able to come back or not, but that was also a big loss for the Chiefs' defense and pass rush. So I would say they played a good game. The Chiefs' defense, I think they probably played their best defense that they played all year, and it came against the toughest, one of the toughest offenses, if not the toughest offense to stop, and that's with the Joe Burrow and uh, Jamar Chase connection. And T. Higgins had some really big moments as well too. Hayden Hurst also did too. Tyler Boyd had some big moments in here too. Tyler Boyd did get hurt a little bit in this particular game. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of mixed matches a little bit for both defenses. In my opinion, I think the Bengals defense played tough too. I thought both defenses played tough, and as I said, the Chiefs defense played the toughest that they played all year, especially against a really good offense like the Bengals. That's really tough to do. To go in there and beat the Bengals the way he did. But just like with the 49ers and Eagles game, if this was reversed, if Cincinnati had home field advantage, it probably would have been a different game. Cincinnati probably would have won. But since it was in Arrowhead, Kansas City, tough place to play. The crowd is loud and rowdy, and they live and breathe football there. That made the big difference in this particular matchup. The Chiefs ended up getting that, and they ended up winning the game overall. So, and I said that was with extreme fortunates. And what I mean by that is at the end of the game, basically, I mean, the pass interference call definitely was a missed one that should have been called pass interference. But I think this one was probably worse because it cost them 15 yards as soon as Mahomes scrambled out of bounds. So at the end of the game, pretty much the score is tied at 20, looking like both teams could go into overtime, but teams have some timeouts left. The Bengals had a timeout left. The Chiefs had a couple timeouts left as well, and they were able to I think they used one and two, but Patrick Mahomes was able to get out of bounds. With like 8 seconds left, he scrambled out and he ran for quite a few yards. I can't remember exactly how many he scrambled for, but I will tell you though, if that tackle out of bounds did not occur, um, it definitely would have been a different game for sure. It definitely would have been a different game, and that was just a big call that you had to make. Big call that you had to make within the end of the game like that. You had 8 seconds to go. You're holding them to just about field goal range, so they might try it. May have a chance to miss it a little bit. You could have iced the kicker and have him miss it, and then it just ended up costing him 15 yards. So, I personally believe he barely touched him. I don't know. I mean, to me, if you watch the video a little bit, if you watch the slow mo of the video of exactly what happened in that game, um, it looked like he barely had touched him, and it looked like the defensive player for Cincinnati was just going out of bounds. If you kind of watch the video a little bit, I don't know how you're supposed to stop yourself when you are in a position to, make a play, but you can't stop the full momentum of your sprinting motion. I don't know how you're supposed to stop yourself right when when a player goes out of bounds. So I personally think I think that call was just absolutely ridiculous, and it came in the most crucial time to give the Chiefs the game-winning field goal. I really think that was just a terrible call from the refs. That one made me mad way more than any other one. Like, I thought that was probably more worse than the pass interference no call. In my honest opinion, I think it was worse than that because this cost them the opportunity to, maybe have them try another player so they know they can't get sacked They know they would have had to throw an incomplete pass or something, or either throw a short pass and throw it out of bounds quickly, that sort of thing, then that wouldn't have bothered me as much. But what really bothered me was that pass interference, not the pass interference call. I mean, that one got me mad too, but this one, the unnecessary roughness out of bounds, just got to me. I have no idea how you're supposed to stop yourself when you're already going at full speed and you're trying to make a play defensively. I have no idea how you're supposed to stop yourself when he's already just out of bounds and you're just about to meet him. So I have no idea how you're supposed to stop yourself. And that player ended up getting hurt, unfortunately. Ended up, going to the bench a little bit, get checked out. But what even hurt even more was that he cost the Bengals the game, and that's all it really takes is a play like that, and that's what gave the Chiefs the chance to kick that field goal and win the game. So I think the Chiefs got very fortunate. And I'm not saying that because I know a lot of people are probably going to say I don't like Patrick Mahomes, I don't like the Chiefs, I and all that other stuff. I mean, it's not that I don't like them. I do not hate Patrick Mahomes whatsoever. I do not hate the Chiefs at all. I definitely don't think that at all. That's not the case. But I think in a lot of cases this year, and I think a lot of people could probably agree with me as far as the Kansas City Chiefs season has gone this year, they have gotten extremely fortunate this year with all the games that they've won this year. And way too many close games. And not that there's anything wrong with that in particular, but for you to go in and out every week and you're supposed to be a Patrick Mahomes run offense and you're supposed to be extreme, explosive offense, one of the most offensive schemes in football, and the best offensive coach in Andy Reid, which is awesome to see. But if you're winning, just barely winning games like that, game in and game out, like the way that you've been doing it all year, like you're barely beating teams like the Texans and the Broncos. What's another one? They had two close games with the Broncos this year. You had a close game once with the Chiefs. You had a close game this year with the Titans without Ryan Tannehill, and you had Malik Willis in there who didn't even muster 100 passing yards, and you barely beat them. You beat the Seahawks by a couple of touchdowns. You beat the Raiders in the last week of the season. You barely beat the Jaguars, and you probably should have blown them out a lot more than you than you beat them. Uh, and then you lose to like teams like the Colts, who are one of the worst teams this season. And I'll do my power rankings of the teams this year when we get the chance to it. So as a dominant team and a team that's talking like a dynasty, a team that wants to win like multiple Super Bowls and everything like that. They want to be the next dynasty, like after the Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady dynasty in New England for the last 20 years. And, especially in that 20-year time span of winning 6 Super Bowls, I'm sorry, but you don't win Super Bowls with these kind of close games like this. Like the Patriots would play close games on occasion, but I feel like the defense also and the division that they were in, they would take advantage of like teams like the Jets. They would take advantage of teams like the Bills. The Bills before they had like Josh Allen and everything like that. Like we're talking like, way back in the day with the Bills, like I can't even remember all the guys' names, like with Ryan Fitzpatrick when he was quarterbacking for them, those years, and then Tyrod Taylor, who took them to the playoffs one year. A team that hadn't had success in 20 years before they had to go to the playoffs, and the only team you struggle with is the Dolphins, especially in Miami. So in that case, the Patriots have had success. They found success, but they found even balance. Like they've always had a good defense and a solid offense that could get them the big plays because they had the quarterback that could do it. The quarterback for the Chiefs can definitely get it done. Patrick Mahomes definitely can get these games done, but he also makes a lot of dumb decisions with the football. Tom Brady does not make a lot of mistakes. If you notice and you watch the games of when Tom Brady's in these games, when he was with the Patriots, and you watch him with the Bucks too, I think he made a lot more mistakes with the Bucks than he did with the Patriots. I don't remember him really throwing a whole lot of interceptions or turning the ball over nearly as much with New England than I probably have seen in his 3-year campaign with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm just throwing that out there. Whereas like the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes is very, very interception prone. He's very fumble prone. Like, there's a lot of things about the Chiefs. There's a lot of flaws about them, and a lot of it is because they're not. They just don't have the defense. They're not like that. As good of a dynasty like the Patriots are. In this case, or maybe like the 2000s Colts with Peyton Manning in it. You know what I mean? Like, this Chiefs team wants to talk about a dynasty, but they've only won like one Super Bowl out of it with the Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, Patrick Mahomes. Like, if they want to start talking about a dynasty, then they've got to start fixing up on the defenses. They can't be winning these close games where they should be blown out. Like, you would expect the Patriots to blow out a terrible team like the Texans if it was still McDaniels, Belichick, and Brady in there. You would expect them to blow the doors off of teams like the Texans or a team like the Titans with Malik Willis, or a team that should be be able to beat like the Raiders with no defense, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, and the Chiefs have not really been able to put like exclamation points on like those kind of games yet. Like, they've beaten the Cardinals this year, and the Cardinals were bad this year, but they beat them up pretty good in the beginning of the year, week 1. But you can't go in there and expect you're a dynasty when you barely beat the Texans and you have to beat them in overtime, or beat the Titans with Malik Willis in overtime too, with a guy that didn't even throw 100 yards. He threw 80 yards total. That's pretty bad. So I don't know. I mean, congratulations. I mean, I'm glad Mahomes did get his, finally got his revenge, and he was able to get the win over Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. I am happy for him in that respect. I will give them respect. They did play tough. I think defensively was the biggest part of the game. I think the defense played extremely well. I thought they played way better than I've ever seen the Chiefs have played these defensive games, even with the blowouts that they play, which is not very often. But I thought they played a good game here against the Bengals. I thought they got the Joe Burrow very well. They were able to have some good, I would say, a little bit of coverage at times. But I think the pass rush was something that Kansas City relied on. And knowing Steve Spagnuolo, he likes to blitz every single play in and play out. So you know what to expect from that. And he was able to do that. He was able to take advantage of the offensive line that was weak in the Bengals. And that was the biggest difference maker there. If, Joe Burrow doesn't throw that interception before the end of the half, or he doesn't get sacked those amount of times. I don't know how many times he got sacked, but you take all those things away, it could be a different story. Definitely could have been a different story for Cincinnati, but Cincinnati will get back in it. I think Joe Burrow will just as likely win, if he can, as many Super Bowls as possible going into the future years. He's got a young career going in. I like the team that he's got. He's got Chase on this team, T. Higgins. If Cincinnati can find a way to keep both of them, that would be awesome for Cincinnati. They can be a dynasty. They could be the team to beat within the next multiple years, along with the Chiefs. And if the Bills can get figured out too, they can get over that hump in the divisional round and the AFC Championship games and what have you. If they can get over those humps too, like those are like the 3 teams that in the AFC that you could definitely look forward to seeing year in and year out, and knowing like rivalries brewing in those, like the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills. Might be missing another team that could come on too. Maybe Jacksonville will start coming in and starting to have some fireworks going, maybe. So he could be one that could be getting teams rolling. And, this is a tough AFC. Maybe the Denver Broncos come back next year and they could be a team to beat as well. Maybe they'll be a team that could beat the Chiefs and built to beat them. Who knows? The AFC side of the NFL is tough. They're tough, and they have a lot to prove for it. So next year might be a different year for the AFC, and there'll be a lot of teams to look forward to seeing for next year, and the quarterbacks to look forward to seeing in future years as well. All right, so sneak peek of the Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl. So What do I think about this matchup overall? So I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to go. Again, like I mentioned briefly, I think it's going to be right now the way that it's looking at. I think it's going to be a high explosion offensively. I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks going off between Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. I think both teams have an excellent opportunity to pass the ball all throughout the game. We might see some runs here and there too from Jalen Hurts. We might see Patrick Mahomes running outside of the pocket, scrambling around, making some plays there too. So this is a pretty good matchup. I think this will be a for both teams. I think both offenses are extremely well coached. They get themselves together. They'll get ready to go. Both offensive lines are pretty good, especially that Eagles offensive line that could be the best offensive line in football. There's also a lot of success too with the Eagles defense that's gonna, put some pressure on Mahomes. So it will be a mixed match there. And seeing what Mahomes does have, he has Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He'll have Travis Kelce with him as well, and other players too. I know Isaiah Pacheco had a nice game last night against the Bengals. That could be something really nice, and we could be seeing that particular game happening. And then in that particular case, we also could be seeing, you know, who else could we be seeing? We could be seeing Jerick McKinnon coming in, making some plays as well. We'll see about that. And Sky Moore, who has a nice, is able to complete some, be able to get there when he needs to. Juju, Sky Moore. Who else am I missing? McCole Hartman, kind of okay, not great, but he's okay. Kadarius Toney, who's helped out the offense a little bit this year, so that could be something to look into as well. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things for both teams. I think there's a lot of big time names that you can think about. I know the Kelsey brothers, Travis Kelce from the Chiefs and Jason Kelce from the Eagles. I know there's brothers right there. One of them is going to win the Super Bowl, so that will be interesting to see who wins that Super Bowl. But I think there's a lot of mixed matches here, which we'll kind of talk more into as the future weeks goes on and when we get closer to the Super Bowl time and picking the Super Bowl and whatnot. So I'm thinking there's a lot of success. I think there's a lot of teams we can definitely, a lot of things we can nitpick and see what will be a good matchup for both teams and everything like that. But nonetheless, I think we're going to see a high explosion of an offense for both teams. I think we're going to see a lot of scoring in this game. We could see both teams score in the 30s, possibly even one of them will probably score in the 40s somewhere. So I definitely think it would be great to see this game like go over the amount of points that are in the game. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl. The fact of the matter is, who am I going to pick? Am I going for the rival in the NFC East of the Philadelphia Eagles, or am I going with the AFC West team and foe that I've kind of grown to have a little bit of a little jealousy over, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? Which one do I really go with? If you want to let me know and try to persuade me as far as which team I should go with between the Eagles or the Chiefs, let me know in the comments down below. And maybe we'll go there. So I kind of want to hear from you guys as far as like what you guys think about this Super Bowl matchup. How well do you think this is? How well matched do you think this Super Bowl is? Let me know in the comments down below. Or if you're live right now, if you're in the live chat right now, type in the live chat comments and let me know. Let me know what you're picking. Let me know what you think I should pick. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm kind of torn between the two teams. I'm not sure exactly who I would want to pick. Because I think both teams have a legitimate shot of winning a Super Bowl. Obviously, with Patrick Mahomes, you never want to count him out. But with the Eagles, too, I mean, they have a legitimate shot to make it here. They made it here for a reason. They made it through the weaknesses of the NFC championship, and they were able to take advantage of the weak NFC that there is in there. And then Patrick Mahomes was able to take advantage of some of the tough AFC matchups like Jacksonville and Cincinnati. So let me know what you guys are picking. And with all that being said, everybody, that's going to conclude my predictions for the conference championship games that occurred this weekend, and talking a little bit about the Super Bowl matchup between the the Eagles and the Chiefs. And like I said, I'll talk more in depth on that as far as how that's going to go within the next couple of weeks. Maybe this weekend we'll kind of talk more about it. We'll see. I haven't really figured out the schedule yet of what it's going to look like for the rest of the week because of just me being so busy and everything like that too. And trying to keep up with this too, guys. Just be patient with me. All is good. This channel is going to continue growing, but you guys also got to do your part too. And it starts right here. Like this video. Leave a comment down below. See the comment section? Leave a comment down there. I want to hear from you guys. I want to be able to provide more content for you. And if you're able to do all that, you're helping me. You're not just helping me, you're also helping the football community because you guys will know exactly who to talk to as far as football games go, as far as any kind of sports go that I follow, in particular, football, wrestling, you name it. Those are the ones that I follow the closest to. I'm the guy to go to. Let me know what you want me to cover and let me know which ones you want me to cover, and I can record it for you through live, or I could also make a pre-recorded video as well for you guys, so that way you guys will be able to see, what I think about the things that you want me to talk about. So like, comment, those things will be good. And also too, if you see the subscribe button right there, hold on one second. I'll pull up the graphic. If you want to see that subscribe button right there, see the subscribe button? It says subscribe. Click on that. If it asks you if you want the notification bell, hit on that too. Because every time that I post new content, whether if it's live, whether if it's pre-recorded and I'm posting it, you guys will be notified every single time out. And you'll know when those new content videos are out, you'll be able to tune in and watch them and maybe even engage in a conversation. And all those things will work out in my favor if you guys do all these things that you are asked to do each and every week, because I want this channel to grow. I love you guys so much, and I want to continue this. I want to help this channel grow to be bigger and better than ever before. So, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. With all that being said, everybody, for those who were able to tune in tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. Tell your friends about it. Let me know in the comments down below what you would like me to cover moving forward. Let's help this channel grow. And I will see you. I'll let you all know. Keep an eye on my Facebook page or Instagram page as far as when the next posting is going to be. Might be later on this week, going into the weekend. We'll see. Just keep your eyes peeled for that. So, with all that being said, everybody, this is JP Football Fanatics saying peace, and we'll see you all next time.